welcome to the podcast. Today I'll speak about voice dialogue and parts work. Parts work is like a generic term for working with different parts in ourselves. And there are various methods that work with that, going from Gestalt, Psychosynthesis, internal family systems, constellation work, and of course, voice dialogue. In last winter, I was contemplating on this, and I was thinking, well, what is the added value of voice dialogue? Because you can see that the body of knowledge, the method, has found its way to different other methods. Voice dialogue was developed in the 1970s, and you see, for instance, in schema therapy, it's used, and in internal family systems, it's used, and so I was thinking, well, was it enough, or does it still have an added value? Voice dialogue. So not only was I reading about it, but I decided to do some experiments and to do a few sessions again myself. So I'd like to share one of these experiences that I had. I was feeling a little bit unclear during the winter time in Netherlands. I think, well, a slight unclarity. I did feel well. I felt present in myself, but I felt also quite vulnerable, and I had some decisions to make with my work, and I somehow couldn't get my mind to it. And then I asked a colleague, Margreet, voice dialogue experienced facilitator, Margreet, I'd like to do a session with you. And I don't know what it is. There's a feeling in myself, in my body, since a couple of weeks. And I have difficulty in getting clarity in what to do with some work decisions, financial decisions, etc. So in the session, I moved, that we do in voice dialogue, we move our chair and become the part that we perceive. So I did this in the session, and let's say, and by moving there, I felt this feeling that I already had, but it became, let's say, more, it became stronger. So I really started to feel like a much younger version of myself. I was like maybe 13 or 14 years old, quite dreamy. And it reminded me of a period when I was indeed at that age and in the high school, that I spent a lot of time in my room, being dreamy, being a bit mystical. I had some experiences there. I felt like, for instance, I'm much part of a much bigger whole. And at that time, I had never read about energy fields and all that. It was just an intuition, and I spent a lot of time in this dreamy state there. And in the session that I did with Margreet, it felt very well. It felt, actually that part said, well, all I need is a room. I don't need a big house. I don't need a car. I need just, I wish Robert could find me a nice room and take care of me in that way. And then Margreet, the facilitator, asked the part, said, well, what do you need? What would you need? And then the young boy said, I need a father. And Margreet said, well, what kind of father do you need? And then the boy said, well, he's over there. What do you mean he's over? He's standing over there. So Margreet, the facilitator, said, well, let's go find out who's there. So I moved my chair from the 10-year-old, 12-year-old to the place where supposedly the father would be. And suddenly I was on that other spot, and the father came and he stood up. He wanted to stand up physically. And he said, well, yeah, I'm here. And I perceived an energy shift there. The father was standing up and said, well, actually, I'm here. I'm here for him. And he has so much more knowledge than when he was 14 years old. He had this intuition, but now here I can see structures. I can take care of the finances. I can take care of the work. This house is really not too big, and the garden and all that. It's really belongs to him, and I can manage. So there was a very empowering feeling. Afterward, we went to the middle, as we do in voice dialogue, and I felt like I'd been 4 or 5 weeks in a bit out of balance in that vulnerable space. And after the session that lasted maybe 45 minutes, 1 hour, I felt, okay, now this is the balance. Now I feel complete. So that was an experience I had. In reflecting about it, because I was looking also at why does voice dialogue work, for me it had to do with not only understanding that there are parts, but to actually go there, let's say sinking into it energetically, becoming it fully. And for some magical reason, it works the best when we shift position. It was obviously clear that the boy was on the left. It was totally clear that the father was on the right, and also that he had to stand up. He had overview. So this is something that, as far as I can see, I didn't see yet in other methods. I see people talk to the parts internally. They talk to family members, but this is to do with the sub-personalities, the parts in oneself. So for me, it's an confirmation that really this work still has a big future. There's something magical that has not yet been explained. Why does it work like that? That we go to one part and we feel different, and that it's related to the space. Are there different energy bodies? Who knows? And so I would say as a conclusion that after these, and I did a few more experiments, also working with other people with that focus, that the added value of voice dialogue has to do with not just thinking in terms of parts, but moving to the part and becoming the part, not just in the head, but fully embodying it physically. And that makes something happening, and something happens in the energy of the body, and it somehow leads to a more complete feeling. We could also call it a dynamic analysis. Just going there, following the energy, but it makes sense afterward. You can say, it's a logical conclusion, okay? So I wanted to share that with you, and I wish you have the opportunity at some point to experience this yourself. Thank you.